Welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are across the world. We have the participants. So, as part of this Access Agile, we have this 3 days virtual events, uh, which we are making as part of this Access Agile. A lot of events are scheduled across 7th, 8th, and 9th October. So today, day 2, we have various sessions going on in parallel, back to back, 24 hours across the world. So the current topic is on the lean agile mindset, how Indian Railways, one of the government organization, how they connected or how they would have implemented or the agile concepts or the agile principles within their context. So that is what I would like to share or discuss today as part of this current session. A quick intro. I have total 16 years of IT experience, within which 6 years is on Agile. I'm a continuous learner, working community building, doing various community activities as well. Access Agile is also one of it. Helping others, not only me, the others also is getting ready and helping with the concepts in coaching, mentoring, and getting them ready into playing their various Agile roles. And a travel enthusiast, thanks to COVID again, the lockdown, stuck at home, but still traveling virtually to all the conferences, seminar sessions, still keeping up that continuous learning aspect. Disclaimer before going into the session. So all the information which we are going to discuss today, or which is mentioned on the this slide, so the material is made publicly available from the Indian Railways. We are free to access, free to discuss, free to share this information. And again, this case study is purely based upon my personal observation and my personal information gathering from the details which are shared by the Indian Railways. So a disclaimer to start with. Okay. So the most dangerous phase, we all know that in any organization, in any context, any implementation is, hey, we have always done it this way. That is what happens whenever you go for any organization, it could be any industry, domain, sector. Whenever we propose a change, whenever we propose a new thing or new approach, new process, new anything, it could be anything, right? Not only agile, any new change, the first answer or the first response we get is, hey, you always done it this way, or that's not how it works here, right? Or you are new, or you don't know the context. That's what happens most of the organizations, most of the context. It could be banking, retail, insurance, any sector, any industry, any country as well. So what's happening? The same old thinking is giving the same old results. So if we keep on doing the same things as we learned alphabets in our childhood, in our kindergarten, are we still remaining the same? We are keep on, as an individual, we are keep on evolving, we are keep on learning, we are keep on focusing on that continuous learning and growing in our careers, in our personal aspects. Same thing should be applicable for any organization as well. Right? And this is what happens again, many cases, many contexts. We know that the problem is there, but we are not ready to accept that, or we are not ready to allow the improvements or the suggestions or any feedback coming from anyone, whether it could be internal associates or whether it is outsiders. We all know that it could be ego, it could be something else. Whatever the reason, this is what happens across the organizations, across the context. One of the example, Nokia. So they made this ad stating that, hey, and it was released in 2007, stating that, hey, we have 1 million customers, 1 billion customers. Can anyone catch the cell phone king? Now, 2021, Nokia is not in the top 5 comparatively. So each organization, each of us should focus on that improvement, the learning curve, learning aspect. And sometimes even this might happen in the implementation, right? So hey, the process become more important rather than the end result, or rather than giving value to the end users or the customer stakeholders. This also might happen. So if we define any process or the rules, guidelines, we will make sure, hey, stop asking any questions, go ahead and do whatever I say. I'm the boss, I'm the leader. You do whatever I say. So that's what happens end of the throughout the implementations or throughout the organizations. And some cases we end up showcasing the metrics, stating that hey, we are delivering 100 story points per sprint. Okay, but what's the outcome? What's the benefit? What's the value we are giving to the end users? Our process is extremely efficient. We are reaching 150 kilometers or miles per hour. What's the use? You're still rotating in the same circle or the same vicious circle. You're not moving anywhere. You're not making any progress. And another challenge, another thing, the misunderstanding or misconception is the moment we say agile, we don't need any documentation, or the developers or the teams or the associates will start saying, hey, we are agile, we don't need any documentation. Of course, it has its own reasoning, its own things. So what are the implementation, what are the user stories of the features we are listing down, that itself we can consider, or we can relevant, we can map it associated as a documentation, relevant associated documentation. And what is that end of the day is happening? We are saying that we are doing agile, but still the focus is only on the software teams or the IT teams or the development teams, because of which what's happening is the gathering the requirements and the design is still following the phase gate approach or the traditional approach. The development, testing, and getting the feedback is what is happening in the sprint wise or at the IT software development teams. Still, the deployment and delivery to the end users and getting the feedback or the final outcome, still it's taking its own time. And we hear the organization saying that hey, we are not getting the benefit out of the agility, or we are not getting the outcome, we are not getting the results, we are not successful, or we haven't got the chance of the improvements, or various reasons or various comments coming from the organizations. So the first step is like start moving from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset. Many of the cases, the points or the slides which we discussed, is still showcasing that we are saying agile, but we are still not doing agile or being agile, because indirectly we are still going with the fixed mindset, sharing that hey, I know this, I will follow this, only this, that's it. Even though we know that we have a chance or we have scope of improvement or any gaps, any process, it could be anything. The organizations or the associates or the most of the cases, the issues challenges is based or observed from the leadership roles. So first step is to start interacting or start coordinating with the leaders or the leadership roles, and which we can drive into the successful transformation in the case. So it should not be bottom-up approach whenever we go into the agile transformation. Instead, it should be like a top-down approach. First, let the leaders get their hands dirty. Let them get involved. Let them lead by example. Let them showcase that, yes, we are in the game. We are here to support you in the transformation or in the implementation. It could be anything. Again, need not be only agile. So the context here is we are talking about agile. That's the reason we are discussing about that. But otherwise, it could be any transformation. It could be digital transformation, it could be agile transformation, it could be any initiative as such. So the lean is one of the key terms in the implementation across the organizations and across the world, across the industries, domain sectors as well. Many of us know that the Toyota manufacturing, the car manufacturing unit is one who started this lean in bringing up the improvements within their car manufacturing unit. And then it became official, or it became public. Every other industry started making use of it. The Volvo also started using that. And one of the US airline, so a simple small change is like they reduced one of the black olive in the salad, which helped them in resulting the saving of $40,000. Another US airline, in their soft drinks or in their cool drinks, they started cutting the lemon into 16 pieces instead of 10 pieces, which result in $500K per year cost savings. The US Postal Service, it is again another popular case study of lean. The implementation is like they revised their parcel delivery routes, which help them save on the delivery timelines, the fuel expenses, and early delivery to the customers as well. There are various case studies on that across the world, which is coming from the lean. So all these are from the, once we start moving from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset, or getting the inputs, getting the different perspectives, views, opinions from the across the organization. It should not be only from the leadership. It should not be only from the managers or the leaders. These inputs were given, were captured from various associates across the organization. That is where the improvements or enhancements or the success factors are coming from these industries or from these manufacturing units. Within Indian context, if we consider again the passport application, when I applied for my first passport for the first time, it took 3 months of time for me to get the passport in hand, starting from filling the application. And that to that time, we don't have an online application. We have to go to a notary center, get the application form, fill in the application form, submit it, go to the passport office, stand in the line, get the appointment and get the done. And complete the police verification, everything. It took end-to-end 3 months of time for me as an individual to get the passport in hand. The next time when I applied for a renewal, it happened within 3 days, starting from filling the form, getting the appointment, and then getting the passport delivered to my hand as an end user. The whole process took just 3 days of time. Is there any change in the process? The steps? No. Still the same result. Me as an end user, I was able to get within the 3 days, whereas the previous context is like 3 months. So that is how, like, as an organization, we should start thinking how we can deliver value to the end users in the shortest possible time. And then a couple of other examples is like FASTag. The toll gate payment on the highways, again, Indian government brought in that change recently, stating that no need to wait, no need to do the payment manually at the toll gates when you're traveling on a highway. Automatically, the FASTag, the QR code, it will be scanned and the amount will be deducted and it will be paid. Is it an easy change? For saying it could be just one single statement, but is it an easy change? No. There is a lot of infrastructure, a lot of payments, a lot of integrations, enhancements happen behind this change before rolling it to the end users, to the customers. The same as, I guess, various UPIs, the Paytm, Google Pay, Phone Pay. We all know that these are the payment systems helped us in the COVID lockdown system. Now, most of us as an individuals, we stopped doing the cash transactions across the world again. Right? So we started doing the online transactions or the payment through Samsung Pay, Phone Pay, Apple Pay, or even these online payment apps. And coming specifically to Indian Railways, they also did a lot of changes from this type of lean implementations or optimizing the overall process. Right? So they discontinued 10,200 stations or the station hearts and improve the efficiency or the speed of the 600 trains, which is saving or bringing up a profit of 20,000 crores in one single year. Of course, there could be some discomfort for those stations or the passengers who are traveling or who are making use of it, but that was taken into consideration and a lot of thoughts and the feedback was considered, and that's when they brought up that. And the pantry cars, the cafeterias or the pantry cars within the trains was replaced with the third AC coaches, which is again bringing up some 1,400 crores as a revenue in addition to the Indian Railways. There are various other examples which we also discuss as we go into the slides, like the boosting the freight transportation and bringing up multiple goods trains or the freight trains together, like two trains, 3 trains, 4 trains together, helping them reach the final destination in the shortest possible time and getting that goods delivered to the end users and getting the revenue benefit for the organization as well. So there are various examples which we can consider, which we can look from these different contexts across the world as well as within the Indian context as well. So now coming specifically to the Indian Railways, again, as I mentioned initially, so some of these case studies or the next slides will be specifically for the Indian Railways context. Why Indian Railways? The first thing when I started thinking what is that I would like to present, I thought let me talk something about Indian Railways along with these other examples. So why Indian Railways? The first thing is it was a legacy organization, or it was like founded in 1853 or 1854. It is like 176 years ago. It is not a startup. It is not a small organization. It is not a brand new organization or a company as such. And the number of employees is like 12 lakhs plus or 1.2 million. And the data is as per the statistics of March 2020. So right now it could be more or less. So that is the context. So again, this is one of the reason which we hear from many organizations stating that, hey, mine is a legacy organization or ours is a legacy architecture. It takes a lot of time and effort to revise, restructure the architecture, the infrastructure of the design. Yes. It could be the same for every other domain, every other organization as well. But still, that is what we should see. We should start thinking, what is it the changes, how we can start bringing up the small baby steps, if not a huge big bang implementation, how we can get the benefit out of it. So before lockdown, if we look at the Indian Railways as a context, before lockdown or before March 2020, there are two types of service types, or from the scale agile perspective. Again, as I'm a SPC, I might be bringing just a couple of terminologies, but yeah. So the two types of service types is the passenger services and the goods transport services. So these are the two main revenue generators from the Indian Railways. Whereas the passenger service is like a time services. They have a fixed timetable for the starting station, ending station, and the main benefit which the Indian Railways have as part of this passenger service is it is a common man friendly fares. Even though we have various public private transportation, the bus or the airlines, still even today Indian Railways is considered as a common man friendly fares from the usage perspective. Whereas the negative aspect for this is the passenger services is not a profitable venture or profitable service for the railways because of the common man friendly fares. That's the cons, or that's the negative aspect if we look from the passenger services. The other aspect of the goods services or the freight services, that is a major revenue generator. There is a major revenue generator for the railways, and it is enterprise friendly for many organizations or many enterprises to transport the goods from one end to the other end of the country because of the huge vast network the country has across the all the corners, majority of the corners.
After the session, so you should get that.
Hi. Yeah,
no.
question?
Satish, maybe you can mute everybody. I think it's a different conversation.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Got these links, but
let me see how to work. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Vijay. Okay. So the negative aspect of the goods services is it is not a time services, which means in our childhood we used to say a joke. Whenever we say goods train, hey, this train, we just saw this train. We never know when this train will reach the final destination or when it will reach, when it will be delivering the goods. And because of that, the farmers or the dairy sector, the users of the never use this before COVID because they never know by when their goods or their fruits, vegetables, or their nursery products, anything will be reaching the final destination. So these are the challenges, or this is the current context before lockdown happened to the Indian Railways. Now, the 25th March, the whole nation, of course, so the whole world, almost the whole world went into the lockdown. Everything, every domain, every industry, every sector got stuck, got locked down, and the major impact is the transport, which includes the airlines, bus, in the railways, or every other thing as well. However, the Indian Railways, they never stopped, not even one single day. Even though the 25th March is the lockdown announced, from 26th March onwards, they started bringing up different services or different ways of still providing the services to the us across the nation, across the country, by bringing different aspects, different perspectives. What is that? So before COVID, we discussed that passenger and the goods services, two of the things. Then the COVID lockdown happened. So what's the first step they started is COVID isolation coaches. Hey, we are not able to run the trains. We have the infrastructure, we have the coaches, everything ready. Let's start making use of them and provide the services, provide the facility to the COVID isolation. Wherever we all heard that the China was able to constructed the hospital within the shortest span the moment the COVID hit the country. Whereas India, rather than doing that, they started making use of the available coaches of the compartments as a COVID isolation coach. Then the next step is the passenger services got stopped. So let's try to do something different. They started doing the scheduled freight services for the goods transport. Now, if we look at the Indian Railways, they said that the goods train is also started having the scheduled timetable. What is the starting time? What is the ending time? And when it will reach the final destination? The milk transport, specifically for providing the milk transport across the country, the milk transport or the Doodh Duranto specials was started. Oxygen specials, again, to help the hospitals or the patients where they got stuck with oxygen availability. They started the oxygen specials and got the services, special trains or the special services run by using the green channels and provide the services across the country. Along with that, they started focusing on the infra upgrade as well. For any organization, again, that is the one of the aspect we have to start looking at, like speeding up the trains by providing expanding the tracks and the electrification, the solar rooftops, or different ways. They started doing the infra upgrades as well. So the first preference, as we discussed, just start with the health. Provide when they don't know or when they are stuck, what they have to do, what they can be doing differently. They started bringing the COVID isolation coaches as a first step. So they dedicated some coaches and making sure the localities or the faraway villages or the cities where they don't have enough infrastructure or the hospitalization services or the facilities, they started providing these coaches. The freight and the goods transport, even within the lockdown or even within the COVID, they announced that they were able to hit the double-digit growth compared to 2019, 1st April to 25 May 2019. They still hit the double-digit growth or double-digit increase comparatively pre-COVID or pre-regular situation. The Doodh Duranto or the daily commodities, along with the Kisan Rails, that is one more thing for the daily commodities, providing the transport, special trains or the special services for the milk transportation across the country, and for fruits, vegetables, flowers transportation across the country. That is what the Indian Railways started as a next step. They rolled out the Oxygen Express, again the oxygen tankers. They started transporting the oxygen tankers directly from one end to the other end, and then again bringing up the green channels. What's the green channel? The moment one Oxygen Express started from the starting station, all the signals, everything, they made sure that they get green in without any stops, without any delays or gaps. They traveled to the final destination and they were able to help with these oxygen tankers for the needy people across the country. And the infra updates, right? If you want to deliver fast, first step is like focus on the infra upgrades as well. So the doubling of the railway tracks, again, it got a double-digit increase when there are no dedicated trains or the dedicated services running. They started making use of that time to say that, hey, let's focus on improving our infrastructure. If not today, tomorrow we might have to resume the services. Let's start doing that. Let's start focusing on the infra upgrades. And the solarization and the procurement of the railways, or the new wagons, new coaches, and even they started bringing up the additional services as well. And whatnot. As a next step, they started doing the out-of-box thinking. And if nothing else is working out, let's do something different, something unique. Started rolling out these restaurants, the coaches as a restaurants, or even as a bridges across the, wherever it is possible or feasible with the available infrastructure, and they started making use of it. Till now, we discussed about that Indian Railways. So that is like a huge organization. So if that is feasible or possible, that is fine. But is this everything relevant only for the bigger organization? Need not be, might not be. So another example is like a Zomato. Again, Zomato is like a Indian food delivery app, if in case you're not aware of the context. What they started showcasing is recently in the month of July, the Zomato 13th anniversary, the launch anniversary happened. The main intention is giving a 60% off entire July for all the customers. So they could have given a small ad or a huge ad stating that, hey, we are giving a 60% off entire July. Instead, what they showcased is as like a conversation, WhatsApp conversation within their group. So they just release the ad publicity in this way, stating that, hey, everyone got involved in the discussion, starting from the CEO, the marketing, the growth team, finance team, HR. The way they showcase, stating that, hey, whatever we are doing, everyone was involved in the discussion, in the conversation, and we are doing it as a one single organization. That is what the intention, what they started showcasing as this example. So what is that end of the day? We know that like Agile is like a manifesto which was defined in Feb 2001, 20 years ago. Still, the organizations as having the challenge in understanding the Agile principles of the Agile manifesto and getting the benefit out of it. So that's where, so it is not just the IT teams or the development teams. Instead, it should be like, along with the development teams, we should start bringing up the finance, the marketing, the legal operations, or the whole organization, whole enterprise as well into the context. That's when any organization can get benefit from the agility or from the implementation of the concepts. So that is what this whole conversation is all about. So what is that we can do? Start thinking from the end user perspective. Whenever we are coming up with a new application or new solution, new implementation, who is our end user? What is that they're expecting from us? Or what is that they can get benefit by making use of our application or our solution? That is what we should start looking at from the end user perspective. What we should do, start interacting with our end users and get the feedback, get the information, inputs, insights. Based upon that, we can go into the actual solution implementation. And having empathy, that is what we should start, not only outside, not only the customers, even the inside, our internal associates, internal team members as well. we should start that inclusion or the empathy, understanding the end user's perspective, the other's perspective. That is what the empathy, diversity, equity, and inclusion is becoming a key factor across the organization. So we should start bringing that as well as a context whenever we are having a conversation with the leadership, with the management, or with the leaders regarding these transformations as such. So the end result of the implementation should not be like a overall still trying to do a waterfall in the name of agile. That should not be the case. We should try to do everything in the incremental iterative delivery, starting from establishing the requirements, design, develop, test, deploy, and getting the outcome, integration, getting the feedback. Then going on top of that, so indirectly, we should start moving from the project mindset to the product mindset. If it is not working in the current release, current version, that's fine. We still have some more releases. Let's go ahead and reprioritize it or set the clear context to the end users why the defined or committed scope is not done within the current release or current version. Reprioritize it, bring the transparency, clear context of what's happening and how we can get the implementation done in the upcoming version, or what is it blocking us in not able to deliver in the current context. Set the clear context and then get it done to the end users. So what's the takeaway? So this is what the discussion is all about from my side. So what is it we as a agilist, or we as a leaders, or we as a individual, we have to take it from this discussion, and what is that we can take it back to our organizations or our implementations from this discussion? Anyone, if you want, you can unmute and you can just give your perspective. So what happened or what we can do better in the current context? If you want, you can unmute and you can, or you can ping in the chat as well. Interacting with customers early. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, there is always room for improvement. You can look for process improvement. Small changes can bring in big values.
That's true. Thank you. Yes.
Innovation.
Yes, the innovation. So even a small change and a small different thought process also can bring major benefit or major value. Again, the benefit need not be in the monetary or the revenue itself, right? It could be the end user, the customer satisfaction also. It could be all these things. Even the small changes also might result in a bigger impact or the bigger success factor of the organization's end of the day. Okay. Anything else?
I think I like the last one. It depends on who your customer is and their perspective, right? It all depends. Yeah.
That's true. Just to show one more example on the same context, if you won't consider the end user perspective, what might happen is yes. So we might be building a small, simple UI stating that the end user or the customer might have mentioned, hey, I have 3 cats, come up with a UI or the application where all the 3 cats can have the food together. This could be the end result once we release it or once we roll out to the application. Right? So that's the reason understanding the end user perspective is anytime important for each of us, whatever the role we are playing in the organization. We should start thinking what it can give, why or how it can help the end user. Here, end user might not be the client for whom we are working, but it could be for the actual user who is making use of the application. Hey, my daughter is just next to me. Okay.
Satish, this one you are saying, okay, do you have the better solution with the image?
Better solution is like first we should go and talk, look or observe the end users, how they are interacting or how what is that these end users, these three cats are behaving currently, or what is it they're expecting, or what is it they might feel better. Maybe rather than having it like this, a circular thing might be helpful rather than having a rectangular sort of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So like until unless we just sit at our office or our laptop and just reading the requirements, we might not understand the end user's perspective. Again, we as a developer or we as a team member or a manager or a leader, we might not be getting the end user context. Right. So again, we let's suppose I'm sitting in India, I'm working for a US project. Do we have an opportunity to go and talk or interact with my US end users? Might not be. Each of us might not be able to do it, but still there are different ways each organizations are trying to do. Like they are getting their business teams talk to the end users, or their marketing team talks to the end users and provide that input or insights to the team members, to the teams who are doing the actual implementation. Right.
I
So
think
And
like
that is the biggest advantage of Agile and Scrum, correct? So now,
That's true.
very short period of time, we get customer feedback.
yes,
So that is the one of the biggest advantage of Agile methodology.
that's
Yeah.
true. So we are getting the feedback, but whom we are getting the feedback? We are getting the feedback from our client. Let's suppose Vijay is my client and Nagamani is the end user, for example, right? So Vijay is the one whom I am interacting with, but the information, are we getting the information what Nagamani as an end user is expecting from the application, from the solution we are implementing? As a Vijay, as a client, Vijay needs to set the clear context to me, or I as a developer, I as a team whom I am implementing, I should have a way to go and understand the end user's perspective. Right. So getting a feedback form. So there are different ways.
Yeah, what we did in the
are
previous
getting
organization, either the users from the region come to our place, we train them, or we discuss with them. Sometimes
Yes.
we travel to different countries, work with the
Correct.
users, perform the UAT, get their requirements, explain how to use the application. And we also do like every month or quarter, we receive the customer feedback from every unit on the bank. So this is the way we try to understand what customer really looking at.
That's true. Yes. So when talking about that customer feedback, just another example, as we have some time, like another example is like Google. We know that the Google as an organization, how vast their customers and users are. It is across the world. There are a number of products or the solutions which Google is providing within their alphabet as an organization. One of the customer somewhere in the world, they provided the feedback to the Google stating that wish this functionality or this feature is there in your solution, in your application, in your product. I'm not satisfied. I expected it is there, but it is not there. Immediately by the next day, the Google team, they read that feedback, they fixed that issue, and they released it not only to that specific customer, to everyone across the world who is using that product or the solution. So the same customer went and gave a revised feedback the next day. Looks like I missed checking this. This functionality is already there. Thanks, Google. Because Google never publicly mentioned that, hey, we fixed this, or they never made a statement that, hey, this is not there, so we are releasing right now. But instead, the customer, that is what the customer feedback was, how quickly, how effectively we can take the feedback, we can capture it, and we can help implementing that feedback in the shortest possible time. That is what the focus of the agility any point of time. Right. So if you say that, hey, you are providing the feedback today, tomorrow's sprint, the sprint is starting, my sprint plan is already blocked, so I will implement your feedback the next release or the next version. The customer might say, sorry, thank you, Thanks for your services. I'll move to the next company or the next client. Okay, yeah. So that's from my side. Any specific questions or any specific things we can, or the feedback about the session?
Thank you, Satish.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was very simple, very crisp, and I think the images were telling the same story, what you wanted to convey. I think that made a lot of impact. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. And thanks for taking your time on Friday and taking part in the sessions. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Satish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Satish.
Thank you.